Okay, we are at our last meeting for GTD, and I wanted to cover something first that I know some of you are probably wondering. The chapters that we're covering only come up through 13, and there are actually 15 chapters in the book. The last two I'm leaving for you to do on your own. We can obviously talk about those if you have questions. I really felt like the chapters 11, 12, and 13 wrap things up very nicely. The rest are really more for, it's more insights into the cognitive science behind GTD, and then the path to mastery. That's a future topic really for us all. I'm not there myself. I'm pretty good at GTD, but I wouldn't call myself a GTD master. Just wanted to touch base. We've got quite a few on the phone this week. What did you guys think of this week's reading?
Well, I'll be honest. I only made it through cognitive 11, the beginning of 12, but it was insightful.
Okay.
To me, it was more, I think a lot of those concepts you kind of touched on earlier in the book, but it's just more of a fleshing out around how you capture, how you prioritize, but it was helpful to me to at least reflect on that.
Yeah, and I think the way the book is structured, this is something Alex Muro taught me. When you're teaching something, you do the 3 tell-ems, and this is the third tell-em. This is the recap of really the collection, habit, next action, and outcome focus, which are 3 really obviously key points. Let's just cover real quick. Chapter 11 was talking about the power of the collection habit to avoid those broken agreements with yourself, and it really went through some good examples of how not to do that, and remembering to get things out of your head. That chapter 12 was that power of the next action decision. What is the next action? And Dave, you and I talked about a quote that was in that chapter, and I noted it here. Talk does not cook rice. It's a Chinese proverb. So we got to always make sure that we're taking action, that we're pushing that way. And then remember, you can be leaders for folks that maybe aren't using GTD. That you don't have to use GTD to see the value of taking action. And then the power of outcome focusing. This really talks about the concept of projects again, and really the horizons of focus. And it gives you your opportunity to be strategic. And one of the messages he has there is make things up and make them happen, so that you're always looking at where you're headed and you keep making progress towards those goals. I wanted to also note, Melissa sent me an email this morning. She couldn't make the call, and one of the things that she shared was that the biggest aha from the last chapters was not overcommitting. That it takes discipline, but also it shows maturity, not weakness. That you can say no sometimes. That I have trouble with that myself. I want to say yes to everything. If someone asks me for something, I want to say yes. I think we all naturally want to do that. But there are times when you're not being fair to yourself, or really that person that's asking you for help or to do something, because you're going to split your attention. It's more than you can take on, and you have to know when to say no. So I think that's another key insight here. I wanted to go back to the beginning where we started, and in the GTD planner site, and remind everyone, we have all the previous weeks here, but go back to the introduction meeting we had and the picture that Dave took of the GTD workflow map, and just wanted to kind of reflect on, this is all of what we've covered. This is what the book has gone through, and depending on how far you've gotten, you've seen all of this at some point in the process. And I wanted to scroll to the bottom and show you here this part at the bottom, the hope it's right. That the worst practice is I'm driven by the latest and loudest, and you're unsure about what you're doing, unaware of what I'm not doing, and my inventory of actions is incomplete and out of date, and my intuition is inaccessible. So if you think about, that's pre-GTD, that because you haven't wrangled all your stuff, you're not working through your buckets, you're very reactionary, you're task focused instead of strategically focused. That's where we all started. And if you got to the trust is right, it's really more that you trust your judgment because your inventory of actions is complete and current, and your horizons of focus are integrated. So you have everything captured, and you're working on the right thing now, and you're present for that one thing while you're working on it. So overall, that's the overreaching message of GTD. And again, I'm not going to belabor all of the points over and over, but I just want to make sure you guys saw the accomplishment in what you've done by reading this book, that you're now aware of. How much you've implemented yet is up to you, but you're now aware of a new way of approaching your work and getting things done. Does anybody have any final thoughts, questions?
Scott, I think I'll reiterate again, I think that the important thing I found in this is kind of starting slow and implementing pieces at a time. But I think a lot of things have helped me, and I'll sort of build on that thought that you shared from Melissa. That when I was at GE, we had a really big focus on efficiency and trying to decide where really is the best place to allocate resources and time and all those things. And one of our previous presidents of our division at one time had shared a really interesting thought with some of our leadership group, which is the power of saying no sometimes. And not just saying no for saying no's sake, but respecting your own time and also understanding where the best use of that may be allocated. And, I try to be cognizant of what meetings I accept, where I choose to insert myself, where I think I can really be effective. And I'm like you. I mean, a lot of times I overcommit because I like to be involved and I like to, put my hands in a lot of different things. But I think it doesn't behoove anybody to spread yourself so thin that you're not effective. And, it's kind of like that quote that I had on board the other day, never half-ass two things, whole-ass one thing.
Right.
And it's just, and it's funny, we laugh about it, but it's one of those things where I try to think about, do I need to accept that conference call? Do I need to, take this call from some marketing vendor who's trying to tell me about their new technology? And just being insightful about your time. And then if you're insightful about your time, I think the other thing that really stood out to me was that other quote I had out of, from David Allen out of the book, which is, there are no distractions in life, only mismanaged occurrences.
Right.
And I felt like that was really powerful, because if you're in control of what you're doing and your time, then you have the power to choose which of those opportunities that come across your desk you're able to take advantage of. But you're only able to do that if you've been disciplined enough to say no to the things you need to say no to and have time available. So I don't know. That, to me, that was one of the biggest reiterations of the book, was doing that.
Not saying no is actually something of a procrastination element. You're actually maybe avoiding other things that you should be doing. In other words, I don't want to work on this big, hairy project. Let me get these quick kill things out of the way. So you keep yourself busy with other things rather than working on what you should. We're going to do something that's more fun or easier rather than that tough, big picture thing. So again, I hope this gives you all some insights into how to adapt. And like Dave said, start out small, implement a few things, and then I would encourage you to read this again in a year. Put it on your calendar or create a task or whatever your process is, and remind yourself to come back and read. And I would start with actually 11, 12, and 13. They're relatively short chapters. It'll remind you why this is important, and then you can always go back and read the key chapters that you need to reinvigorate your GTD process. And I really think that's where this planner site will come in, that we'll have, we have opportunity, that you have opportunity now with this to go back. And because we've got it structured, you'll know what chapter, which pieces we're in. So I hope this will be a resource for you going forward. And I will obviously update the YouTube playlist with a video from this week. And Melissa had also mentioned in her notes she sent me this morning that she shared the playlist on YouTube with her sister, which I'll encourage y'all to do the same thing. If you have other people in your lives that you feel like could benefit from this, feel free to send that. There's nothing proprietary in there. I give credit to David Allen for the book and all these concepts. They're not ours, they're his. Again, I think this is something I've shared this with a lot of people. You guys are just the latest. So I'll come to a close here and just say I wish you all luck with GTD and how you implement going forward. And as I've offered many times, if there's anything I can do to help you along the way, please let me know. And I've really enjoyed this time with you guys over the last few weeks.
Likewise. Thanks, Scott.
Yeah, thanks, Scott.
Thanks, everybody.